Hello everyone. Myself Sonia from 2nd MSc Biology, St. Mary's College, Thrissur. Here we are going to discuss about the topics conference paper, plagiarism, submission and publication of manuscript. So let us first discuss about conference paper. What is a conference paper? A conference paper is a written document that outlines your oral presentation at a conference. These papers cover the details of the presentation for attendees to review in situations when the attendee was not able to hear the oral presentation. Then it includes first title page. The title page is used to identify the main pieces of information needed in order to identify and evaluate a conference paper. It includes the title of the paper, which should clearly identify the focus, the research being presented, and also included the author's name, credentials, the research institution they are affiliated with, and the submission date, name of conference for which the paper being submitted. Next is abstract. Conference paper begin with an abstract. An abstract is a short summary of the prime objective of your research, your hypothesis, the way you plan to conduct the study, the results and conclusions. Most abstracts are one or two paragraphs and kept under 250 words. But it's not always case in this case, so it's best to check the guidelines provided by the conference organizers. Next is introduction. That will cover the background for the research and purpose of the research, similar to a thesis statement. Fourth one is the research methodology. In order for conference organizers to review and evaluate a conference paper, they must understand the method used by the researcher to conduct the study being presented. Include a section in your paper that clearly describe your methodology, including any dominant theories that the method are based on. And the fourth is result. Clearly outlines the result of the study, drawing data driven conclusions. Your research result should take up about 1/3 of your conference paper. So, for a 10-page paper, this section should be no longer than 3.5 pages. Whenever possible, display quantitative result in table format to make it easy for readers to understand. Next is discussion or analysis. Discussion and analysis, like all academic work, here is where you place the written text that analyze your results and contextualize them. Conclusion should be short and to the point. Next is references. Most conferences will clearly outline the type of references they expect in their call for papers or advertisement soliciting the research submissions. Follow these guidelines to reference the work used to inform your research. So, a conference paper should be clear about your intentions, know your audience, make an outline for your from your oral presentation. Be careful of length, write the introduction, expand on the oral presentation, give your results and conclusion, include references, and finally read your conference paper aloud. Next, we are moving to plagiarism. What is plagiarism? Plagiarism is derived from the Latin word plagiarius, meaning kidnapper. Plagiarism means stealing or copying another's work and representing it as own work. People make misuse of disadvantage of the internet by representing others' work as their own for fame, for academic benefits, for money, for personal interest, etc. Plagiarism is the act of using someone else's ideas, words, or thoughts as your own without giving credit to the other person. It can be intentional or unintentional, so we should have the knowledge of what can be called plagiarized content and what not. Here are given some key points to understand what can be called as plagiarism. First is if you use another person's work under our name. If we copy others' ideas and words and don't give them the credit. If we download or copyrighted images or music and present them as our own, or if we copy maximum words and modify them so that we can cleverly use them under our own name. All these cases are termed as plagiarism. There are different kind of plagiarism, and the first one is complete plagiarism. Complete plagiarism is the most extreme form of plagiarism. In this plagiarism, a person completely copies someone else's work, such as research paper, article, image, etc., and represent it as their own work. This form of plagiarism is similar to identify theft or stealing. Next is verbatim. Verbatim is also known as direct plagiarism. When we read a book, we must have observed that if any statement that a famous person has made is always represented in double quotations and is highlighted so that we get to know that it is said by this particular person. Similarly, consider a person writing an article and mentioning someone else's work or words that do exactly the same, but this person doesn't represent it in quotation marks. Then that person is said to be exhibiting direct plagiarism. Hence, copying another's work word to word and not representing it in quotation mark is known as verbatim or direct plagiarism. Next is self plagiarism. This kind of plagiarism is the duplication of a person's own work. It is also known as auto plagiarism. It occurs when a person copies some words of his own published work and uses the same for another work. This form of plagiarism is commonly observed in research journals. Next, we are moving to source based plagiarism. This form of plagiarism is most commonly observed in research work. In the research paper, one needs to provide references that have contributed to their work. If a person provides wrong references that do not exist or that are not relating to the work, then it is known as source based plagiarism. The falsification of data or its fabrication is also source based plagiarism. That is, falsification and fabrication of data are manipulating or representing false or non existing data. Finally, accidental plagiarism. This kind of plagiarism mostly occurs due to a lack of knowledge. If we don't know how to paraphrase, cite, and quote a research work, we leave the work as it is and it results in accidental plagiarism. There are different kind of laws against plagiarism. Uh, In Section 57 of Indian Copyright Act 1957, authors have the right to claim authorship of their works, among other things. It grants the authors the special right to be attributed for their work. The statute recognizes the right to attribution and allows to the rights not to be plagiarized. Another law is in Section 63 of the ICA in 1957. A convicted infringer is liable to be imprisoned between 6 months to 3 years and to be fined between 50,000 and 2 lakh rupees. University Grant Commission or UGC has provided a certain sets of guidelines that need to be followed by universities in order to prevent plagiarism in academic activities. Next, we are going to discuss about submission and publication of manuscript. First, print and page format. When you send your finished manuscript to the journal, it should be in a form that can be directly used by the editors. We should know about the font and it should be in a clean standard font and includes Arial, Times New Roman, Tahoma, Verdana. And the line spacing should be correct. Double space all text including references, footnotes and figure legends. Also, double line manuscript submitted as electronics. Next, margins. Leave large margin and the page number is given to every pages of the manuscript packet and add an identifier to the number. Next is the manuscript packet. Page 1. And the first page of the manuscript is the identification page. It should include the article title, full name of authors, their institutional affiliations, and name and conduct of the author taking responsibility for interacting with the editors. And an example is given here. Second page has a summary of the manuscript packet and any necessary disclosures, qualifications, and disclaimers. Summary include number of pages in the manuscript packet, number of words in the main text, number of figures, drawings, additional items, etc. An example is given here: pages, words, tables, drawings, and photographs. Disclosures. The disclosures, qualifications, and disclaimers begin with the source of funding for the research project. Next, list any non authors who helped to write the manuscript and give sources of fund that were paid to these people. Then, conflict of interest is given. Third page is the abstract with the keywords, and the fourth is the manuscript properly begins on the fourth of the manuscript packet. Last pages at the end of the main text of your paper and after the reference section, put any appendix. Next, put a page for any footnotes. Following footnote, put each table and figure on a separate page. In the packet with a page for all the figure legends, number every sheet included in the manuscript. And finally, the introductory letter. Send your manuscript packet with a short formal cover letter. In the letter, give the full title of your article, the type of article, and the essential point of article, all the author's name. Here are the references. Thank you.